It was really tough feeling like you're doing it, all by yourself.
Right.
There's no one else there. If I fall, I'm falling alone. You know, it's a tough place to be in, but it was the only place I knew.
I've kind of watched your journey and just in business and being powerful. How did you kind of like transition and snap out of this dark phase?
I had to survive. I had to do something. I couldn't stay down, feeling sorry for myself.
This is Danielle K White. Welcome to the Danielle K White Show. On this podcast, what you can expect is anything from fashion, fitness, hair, and yes, even family. I'm the creator of Natural Beat Real Hair Extensions and Isla Hand-Tied Hair. But what I'm really passionate about is sharing other people's stories, how they went from the pit to the peak, how entrepreneurs build the success that you see online today. So definitely tune into this podcast for a good story and a little bit of fashion and a little bit of hair and beauty mixed in.
So today I actually have Liz Webster. I was going to say in the house, but it is in my house. Welcome and thank you for being here. I'm so excited to hear more of your journey. You've been inside of my world through MBR, and I've kind of seen your journey and watched your growth. And I think it's so inspiring to see other women grow. And so that's why I wanted you on the show today to kind of share more of your story. So Liz, welcome here and thank you for being here. And I'm just excited to hear more about your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about being here.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, let's go back. And you have a product or hair perfume called Gray Lynn.
Yes.
So we're going to start right there and tell me what inspired you to create this.
Okay. Well, first off, I want to share the name behind it.
Okay.
It's my 3 kids. Okay. Their middle names morphed together. So
cute.
Gregory, Ray, and Lynn.
Oh, cute.
And so that's basically the name. And the reason why I decided to do it is I was looking for something that honestly would just make women feel luxurious and confident alongside building something for my family.
Right.
So that was really kind of the 2 reasons that I decided to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to ask you if it was like named after one of your kids or whatnot.
Yeah, I tried the first name and that didn't work.
Right. Well, I love that. So you're in the hair industry. That's kind of how you started.
Yes.
But even before, how long have you been doing hair for?
34 years.
You really? 34 years?
Since 18, yeah.
So you're like an OG like me.
Oh, yeah.
We just keep going.
Yes.
So you started pretty young doing hair, and you currently have 3 beautiful kids. You have two daughters and a son.
Yes.
And how old are your kids?
My son's 34, my daughter's 27, and my youngest daughter's 24. And then I have two grandkids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
actually, I think I've seen that
2 and 9
on your
months.
Instagram.
Yes.
I think I see it on your Instagram. So you started doing hair pretty young before kids.
Yes.
And you loved it, you hated it, like it was just kind of something you were passionate about at the time, or?
Yeah, no, I've always loved it. I always knew I wanted to do something working with people. So hair just sounded fun at the time. And then I just, it became a passion for me. I loved it. It was a great career so that I could be present with my kids. They never not had me. I took them to school, did homework with them, helped down their classroom. I mean, most of the moms didn't even know I worked.
Oh, wow.
So it was definitely a good career to be able to be there for them.
I feel like it's one of those things, like, I agree with you because I have my 4 daughters, but it is something when they're in school, you can kind of create your own schedule. And it feels like you can decide to pick them up from school, drop them off, things like that. I've gone through phases where I definitely went into hustle mode and kind of lost that side.
Yes.
But then I'm like, okay, I really value being with my kids.
For sure.
So tell me when you've been doing hair for a while and you actually when did you come into the MBR program?
I think it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. So it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
And what inspired you to kind of even go into that direction with hair extensions?
I think as I started getting older, I was realizing that, okay, I got to work smarter and not harder.
Right.
I can't be doing the long hours. I want more for myself. And so I think the hardest part was deciding to invest because I think as moms, as hairdressers, sometimes, we don't want to put that investment in ourselves. We do it in everyone else, our kids, but then it's hard for us to do it in ourselves.
Right.
And I remember sharing it with my son, and he was like, Mom, in order to make money, you got to spend money. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And so that was the turning point for me, was joining, NBR and really taking my business, tripling it really.
Yeah.
And working less.
Right. And being able to spend time with your kids.
Yes.
Now you're currently not married right now, right?
No.
So was this part of your journey in really maximizing your time, whether it was doing hair or creating Gray Lynn, or now you even do coaching, women's coaching?
Yes.
So let's go back, what inspired you to have all this change? Because I mean, I've watched it just in the last 5 years I've seen you, but when did the pivot happen for you?
I would probably say it started with my divorce. just feeling when you're married that you give so much into another partner and you kind of depend on them.
Right.
And I know that's what I did. And so when I found myself, by myself, divorced, it was like, okay, I got to rebuild myself and really be able to stand on my own 2 feet and not really lean on anyone else.
Right.
So I just really, dove into myself and what I needed to do. And that's really what kind of pushed me back into hair, but taking it to another level. And then just another really big turning point was when you're doing everything by yourself, I mean, for me, at least, I didn't have a community. I just had my kids and a few close friends. And it was really tough feeling like you're doing it, all by yourself.
Right.
There's no one else there. If I fall, I'm falling alone. It's a tough place to be in, but it was the only place I knew. It was like really my role.
How long ago did the divorce happen?
That was probably 14 years ago.
Oh, okay. So it's been a minute, but that's when it was like the rebirth of Liz kind of started.
Yes.
It's interesting too, because I mean, obviously I've been married for 21 years, but there was a period in my relationship with Garrett where I was like, that's when I started my brand. I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to stay married. And I went to this place where I was like, I don't know, I've got to take care of my kids and I don't want to depend on somebody else. And so I think as moms, it's like that's where we take the skills that we have, but it's like almost leveling up. So you went through a divorce and this is when, how did it change for you? You had already been doing hair at this time. So when did this shift happen? It was just kind of like you started with investing in yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. That's really what it was. Before that, it was, I did hair part-time and was, also with my kids. But when I became on my own, I had to go back into, doing hair full force. And, I had lost a lot of my clients. So I had to kind of rebuild that. And along the way of doing that, that's where I got introduced to fitness. My son was really heavily into it. He was doing an online business. And he wanted to really test it out on me. And
was he your
like,
trainer?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Because he's got a pretty big following, right?
Yes.
And how did he build his career up?
It was he's literally like the OG of Instagram. I mean, when he started, Instagram was just selfies. I remember him telling me the story. He's like, that's all you came on and just did a selfie.
Yeah.
And so he was documenting his journey in the fitness world because he was really thin. He was a cross country runner.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay. Because he's like jacked now.
Yeah, and he was just tired of being skinny. And so he's like, I want to, do something else for myself. And so he went on this journey and then a supplement company found him, picked him up, and they just blew up. And then he was like, I want to diet you. I want to use you in the demographics of over 40.
Oh, wow.
So I honestly did it just to support him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that really was the motivation behind it because I would have never done something like that.
How old were you when you started the fitness journey?
42.
42. Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because I relate to you so much just in that we'll be talking about stuff and you're like, people don't get it. People don't get it. So when you started down this journey and we were kind of talking a little bit before the show, like what did that open up in you?
Oh, I mean, really the belief that I can pretty much do anything because it's a tough road, and only you and the person training you and the people in your industry understand it. Right. It's really tough and you get judged by people by how you're eating, what you're doing, what you're not allowed to do. And, people love to, how could I say, like, bring negative to something that's good. Right. Because if I was eating cheeseburger and fries, no one would have an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
But because I'm, measuring my food, everyone has an issue with it. And so it also can kind of be lonely because you're doing that and people don't understand. Right. But it really, really showed me what I'm capable of because there were things that I did that I would not want to do. Right. I mean, some of the food that I had to eat, and the training behind it was tough. Right. And then, we were talking about posing. That was probably the most difficult part of it. And just really learning, how to pose yourself and honestly putting yourself on stage for someone to judge you. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? You're like, I'm literally training so that somebody can physically judge my body. And some people are like, I don't get it. Did you ever consider not going on stage or were you doing this to get on stage?
No, it was never about going on stage.
Oh,
in
really?
fact, I fought it for quite a while.
Okay.
He kept asking me and I said, no,
You're like,
I don't want to do this. I accomplished what you wanted me to do. I got shredded and I'm done. And he was like, no, but the next step is, going on stage. And so finally I just said, okay, just to, humor him. And then he put it on Instagram. And once it's out there,
it's out there.
That's it.
I always say like, my ass was on the internet because literally, so you're like, how vulnerable can you feel like doing all these poses? So he starts, showing it off online. And then what did that do for you? Were you just like, oh my God, here we go? Like,
I mean, it was yeah, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But then it was also encouraging because, you know, that was where my platform started. I came on Instagram to really document my journey, you know, being a mom, you know, over 40 and just kind of coming on Instagram doing that. And so that's kind of why I did it. And then really the fact of like hitting over 40 became a really big thing. Mom and son doing it together. And women were just really, really inspired by that. I mean, it was really a movement. And so I was here for it and I was excited about it. And then doing, you know, 2 competition shows. It was,
what made you want to do the second one?
Because he pushed me. Pushed me again. You know, there's a lot of politics, you know, that come with that. And so the first one that I did, I placed second. And it was like one of those things where I was in the forefront and then I got pushed. And, you know, and he's just like, it's all political, you know, if you pay in this, you know. So anyway, I just was like, it's good. I did one and I'm fine. And then he's like, no, we got to do another one and see if we can get you.
He's all competitive about it. Yeah.
Yes. And so, after the second one, I felt like I did what I came to do, which was, you know, here I am. I accomplished 2, you know, fitness shows and that's enough for me, you know? And then I just stayed in the fitness industry. I worked for the supplement company and just went full force. And then unfortunately, I started getting some pain. It was starting in my knees and I didn't really understand. I thought, oh, I'm just working out too hard. And then come to find out it was all on my back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I was working with the company. We were doing workout videos and they were just really painful. It was super excruciating. And there was actually a chiropractor that noticed my face, you know, at the gym and he was like, is everything okay? And then long story short, he's like, you got some back issues. And I never identified it in my back because the pain was coming in my knees.
Oh, wow.
But you know, they all go together. And so I found out I had a bulging disc and my neck was like a whiplash patient.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I was pretty messed up. And so my chiropractor.
So every time you'd go lift, was it painful?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I was pushing through and just pretending there wasn't any pain. Yeah. And so finally he said nothing from the waist down and 5 pounds upper body. He's like, if you want to walk, this is what you have to do.
Wow.
So I would go in the gym and I'd cry and I'd still try to push out a little bit more. And it was just really tough. And so at that time, how can you show up on Instagram and motivate other people when you're struggling?
Right.
So I went off the grid. I really wasn't showing up on Instagram and I just was kind of dealing with my pain.
Right. Well, it's a lot of pressure too, because you now set yourself to this standard and you're like, how can I, like you said, how can I put myself and motivate people when I can't do this? It's part of your identity.
Exactly.
So did you kind of like, it sounds like you built your Instagram a little bit in the beginning off of this fitness journey.
Oh, totally.
So you almost had to like re-identify yourself. So what happened after, you know, you couldn't work out? I mean, eventually did it get better?
Well, eventually, yes, it did, but it took a long time. And in that time process, I couldn't work doing fitness. I mean, and I literally watched my whole entire body just wither away.
After so much hard work.
Yes. All my muscle went away. Wow. And it was a really tough and quite depressing time. To really know you worked that hard to get your body to look a certain way. And like you said, a little bit of your identity is in the fitness, you know? And so now here I am, I can't do this anymore. And I even remember him saying, you know, talk about what you're going through. And I said, I don't even have it in me to talk about what's going on. I don't. I had nothing.
Wow.
You know, I was just trying to figure out day by day how I can deal with this pain, still work and figure myself out, you know? And so in doing that, that's where I was like, I have to go back to what I knew to do really well. And that was hair. So
were you doing hair at the time when you were doing the fitness stuff?
Yeah, it was crazy. Okay. I was still doing hair and then really working hard in the fitness space because we were actually, you know, required to do so many workout videos, post so much. So it was another job entirely over there.
So who were you? So you were like literally like you're almost like the second career inside of fitness. And then,
for sure,
you know, your back goes out and you're like, I can't, and that could have gone huge. And I still know it's huge for your son, but even for you, you're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? You probably felt like so defeated. How did your son help you kind of get through all that?
He was just, you know, always encouraging me to just kind of like come back and try, you know, again, tell my story. And so like I said, I was just in a really, you know, bad place with just feeling like, you know, I can't do it for myself. I can't do it for others. And so we just obviously, you know, mother, son, we stay bonded together, but I was going in another direction. Yeah. And he understood that.
How did you like kind of snap out of that? Like just being like, hey, this is a piece of you that kind of like it's not who you are, right? It's just the physical body. And so it's like, I've kind of watched your journey and just in business and being powerful. How did you kind of like transition and snap out of this dark phase?
Pretty much because I had to pay the bills. I had to survive. I had to do something. I couldn't stay down, feeling sorry for myself.
Right.
So I think immediately I just, like I said, I went back into doing hair, but I knew that I needed to make a certain amount of money. I knew I wanted to make more because I was doing fitness and hair, and then I lost that, and I had to kind of like supplement out that.
Right.
So that's when I was like, okay, I got to do something more. But again, I'm getting older and I don't want to work as hard. So I'm like, I gotta do something and scale up. And then that's when I found you.
I was going to say, is that when because you were like, okay, if I do hair, I've got to make the most behind the chair.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy in the hair world because you literally can't do hair for like the rest of your life. People don't understand how taxing it is because it's not even like you're on your feet, you're entertaining, you're thinking about chemicals. You're like, it's just, I come home from the salon when I used to work like 10-hour days and just like drive home in silence.
Oh yeah.
It's just not something that as we get older that is realistic,
Exactly.
So you're doing hair, you're doing, MBR hair extensions, and you're seeing success. But even then, when did Gray Lynn kind of come into the picture? How did this all start?
I really believe it's who you surround yourself with. At that point, I had my best friend, and she was in my life, but we weren't really talking business together. And so I think one day when I was doing her hair, she brought up the idea of that she saw me doing a whole entire product line. And I said, that's too big. I can't do that. And we went back and forth, and she was like, okay, how about one product? And then I said, I can't handle one.
Yeah.
And so I thought, what could I, create that women would love, and it could stand alone because it's going to be one product.
Yeah.
So I've always been big on scent and, your hair smelling good and just feeling confident about it. And so I thought, you know what, I've always loved hair perfume and women don't know that that's a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing. You gave it to me at one of our events and I was like, yummy, what's this? But you know what I love about it is it actually does feel like it hydrates the hair a little bit. It
does, yes.
How did you...
because it's been around, but for whatever reason, it's not talked about.
Okay.
And it's seasonal. A lot of, companies that create it, they bring it out in seasons,
like
and I don't
Christmas?
understand that. Yeah. And so I thought this is something we need. We're now with, hair extensions and not washing our hair every day, and women need to feel confident because they know they haven't washed it. So there's a sense of like insecurity with it.
Because dry shampoo doesn't really take away the smell. Sometimes I'm like, my hair smells sweaty.
Yes.
And I don't have time to wash it.
Yeah. So that's where I figured it could stand alone and women need it.
How did you manufacture it? Who did you go to create this product?
My girlfriend she had created a whole supplement line. And so she had the connection.
Nice.
And so she was like, as a favor, to her, this company took me on and worked with me. And so we worked on everything. I pretty much had the name, the way I wanted it to look, the black and white, all of that. And so they just kind of brought it to life.
What has been the biggest challenge in, you're a hairstylist, you're doing the fitness stuff, you're doing all this, and then you're like, I'm going to launch a product. I think when people don't understand when you launch a product, you're kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing in a sense. What has been the biggest hurdle or what are some of the struggles you've found in developing this product? Like you're like, I'm doing it. I'm going all in.
I think everyone can, have a great product, but it's how do you scale it up?
Yeah.
And for me, it's been getting it into the right hands and, that person that's going to believe in it so much and they have that platform and they can really kind of push it and excel it into another level. Because most of the women that I've encountered that I'm able to, hand it to, or they have purchased it, love it.
Yeah.
But it's like
brand positioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, let's get it on a big scale. How do we do that? So that's where I'm at, is just trying to figure that out, but it's going great. And women are loving it. And the most amazing part about it is I've been blessed enough to know that like this scent is like, everyone loves it.
Yeah. I immediately liked it when I use it. And what I will say is if you have sweaty hair, it covers it up.
Yes.
You're like, okay. And it makes your hair feel kind of soft. So totally. I really like the product. It's interesting too, though, because I can see this product in like a Neiman Marcus. I could see it in, a Sephora, any of those places. And so I think in the beginning, it's like, it's about getting it in the right hands. But even then, if you keep networking, I have a feeling you could even get an investor to come in, and that's when it would really
That's a great idea.
blow up.
Yes.
So it's crazy because a lot of you launch a product and you're like, okay, how do I build this up? When I don't know if you knew the story, but when I first launched MBR, like hand-tied hair was literally like the lowest selling hair in the marketplace. Like people were like, you like hand-tied hair? Like you cut it and it falls apart. And I was like, well, yeah, but I knew it was a thing of brand positioning. So I started, when I had no money, I started purchasing I bought my first, it was a Celine bag, and I would talk about hair and do photos. And so you have to kind of do that to almost rebrand something so that it looks like this luxury item. And now you know well as I do, hand-tied hair extensions is like the biggest rave in the marketplace. But 15 years ago, nobody was doing that. It was all single bonded and tape ins and all this thing. So it's about, rebranding and positioning it and getting it into, some high-end hands and things like that. But even further, taking it to finding an investor, that's what will really blow it up for you, and then it's launch more products off of that, but I think a good goal would be to get it inside stores like Neiman Marcus.
For sure. Well, my thought was starting in hotel, high-end luxury spas.
Boutiques. Yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah.
Women that are traveling and, they need something, a hair perfume would be amazing for them.
Yes.
So I have, gone into, the hotel spas. And so that's kind of where I thought would give me that kind of open door and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
But I, definitely would love to go into Sephora and, you know, Neiman Marcus and everywhere.
All the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me now, you launched this product and then now you're doing coaching. What called, is it just female coaching? Is it women coaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's crazy because it is female coaching, but I've had a few, encounters where, men are like, hey, you've really helped me in some of the things that you, And I was like, okay. I didn't think about that, but primarily with women, I would say.
Okay.
And this is where it was really powerful in my life. At one point, just really getting really defeated of feeling like I was telling you, feeling alone. And I got really exhausted. I was tired of feeling like I was just, on my own doing this.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty pivotal, moment in my life where I have always been, not always, but since I was 24, I've been a Christian. Okay. But I would like to say that I had one foot in and one foot out. And a big part of that was the divorce because I did it the right way. I was married and that didn't work. And so I was a little rebellious. I would say that my attitude was, you know what, I'm going to do it my way now. And unfortunately, when you try to do it your way and you don't partner with God, it doesn't work out. It won't work out. He'll find a way to get you and bring you back in.
Right. He's like, no, wrong path. Come here.
And so it was a time in my life where I just, like I said, was exhausted. And I remember sitting on my bed and I just said, God, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I just sobbed and I said, I give my life to you. I'm done. And in that moment, everything changed. Everything changed.
Did it open up for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was me finding out who I really am. And, there's a lot of times where you live your life in a lot of pain and you don't even realize you're doing it. For me personally, I could have told you there was no trauma in my life because I was doing well. So where would I identify the trauma?
Right.
Usually you think, oh, she's an alcoholic, she's done drugs. But for me, I was always put together. I was strong. I was confident. So where's the trauma?
Right.
And it was through some really incredible friends that kind of walked me through it and identified what it was. And I was living in protection. I was protecting myself. There was a wall right in front of me.
Right.
So I finally, that wall got tired of being put up.
Yeah. You didn't even realize you were tired.
No, I didn't even realize the wall was there. It was, my identity was being strong, being confident, keep it together. Everyone is counting on you.
Persevere.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no time to even think about what's bothering you. Yes. You got to keep moving forward.
Yes.
So that's where I was. But, God wants to partner with you. He wants a relationship with you. And for me, I wasn't giving him all of me.
Right.
There was just a portion.
I think that's so important that you just shared that. And thank you for sharing that piece of the story because women do feel that. They are like, I got to hold strong. I got to do it for the kids. I'm not allowed to cry. I'm not allowed to share my feelings. And literally, I believe that our souls are dying.
Yes.
Because that's not how it's supposed to be. And so when you finally get to this point of pain, it's almost a point of surrender. And you're like, oh, that feels so good.
Oh, totally.
And so tell me now, I believe it's like when people can truly see your light and you're giving back to other women, saying, hey, you don't need to be alone. Like like you said, like I felt so alone for so long, but just thought I had to persevere.
Right.
So when you're doing your coaching, tell me a little bit about that. Like this kind of opened you up and inspired you to launch kind of this movement for women.
Yes. So it really came about me joining into a mastermind and just really going into it for my hair extensions and for, my hair perfume and to launch those two businesses. And while I was involved in that was the first time that I actually, heard from God where he said, you need to build this. And it was somebody else doing a coaching program. And I was like, no, I don't do coaching. But it was a thought would have never came in my heart. So I knew it was from him. And so I'm like, okay, try to deny it. And it just kept coming strong. And it was the women that were DMing me, the inspiration.
They're waiting for you.
Yes. And then you can understand this. I started realizing, because you think, who am I to think I can do coaching?
Yeah, right.
But then it's like, I've been a single mom.
You've been through so much. Yeah.
I went through divorce. I've raised kids. I've built
qualified.
businesses. Yes. And so I realized also too, the women that would sit in my chair and the stories that they would tell me, and I was helping them right in my chair.
Yeah.
And, so.
Yeah, you were qualified. You've been doing hair for, so many years. You were already in the role of coaching.
Yes. And so I just decided, okay, I'm going to go for this. And, it's a space where it's like, it's something new. Nobody knows I do this. And so, but I'm going to put myself out there anyway, because I'm being called to it.
Right.
God wants me to do this because there's so many women out there that are hurting the way that I was.
Yeah.
So he said it real crystal clear to me. And he said, duplicate what I did in you.
And that
was, and that was just, teaching women to let go and let God and give their life to him. Yeah. And he'll help you with the steps.
Yeah, exactly.
And at that moment, everything,
falls into place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And women need that. They're lacking confidence. They're lacking self-worth,
right?
Doubt, fear, anxiety. I mean, it's got a hold of a lot of women out there. And so if I can just shed some light on all of that and help them, walk them through this,
right?
And specifically one-on-one coaching, because women, they crumble in a group.
Yeah. They're almost like scared to put anything out there that's too personal in front of everybody, and so they need a safe space to kind of communicate.
Absolutely.
Do you mostly do one-on-one or do you do group calls right now?
Right now I'm just doing one-on-one because I feel that's where the power is. I feel like that's where they feel the most safest to open up and where they're getting breakthrough and finding out that there's more to their life than what they've been telling themselves. And again, it comes from, the trauma that they've been holding on to. Right. And a lot of them, like myself, aren't identifying that there is a trauma there.
I can relate to this so much because me being a business owner and a mom, did the same thing. And about 2 years ago, I finally unleashed on Garrett. And he's like, you've been lying for 10 years. I was like, I didn't realize it was hurting. I literally was like, I shared this story on a couple other podcasts. I'm like, we had the cars and the houses and the businesses and we look like the picture perfect family. And I was like, why am I so lonely and depressed and sad? And I realized I was like, because I'm like a piece of my soul was like dying, like you said. And so it's even creating this safe space where women can
absolutely
talk, and I think that women, they need to do that, especially mothers. We always say we're the strong ones. We have to support our man or whatever it is. And it's who's supporting us.
Right.
And so it's so amazing. And I love that you said, I just kept ignoring it, but I feel like the ones that feel the least qualified are the most qualified, Yes. And God's just saying are you going to go already?
I know.
Are you going to go already? Cause I've been nudging you for a while.
Totally.
So.
And we don't want to do what we know we should be doing a lot of the time. And that's where, for me, getting women to decide to partner with me is probably my hardest thing, is because women, again, they're not me. I can't invest that in myself.
Right.
And it's really getting them to believe that once you do that, you will see how empowering that investment will be and it'll draw in more.
Yeah.
But it's the hardest part is women just are not good at doing for themselves.
Yeah. Tell me about your program. When they come in, how does it structured?
So we're really diving into what first is going on inside of them, because some of them will come for different reasons. I want to help. I want to, scale up my finances. I want to build a business. And I immediately go, no, we need to go to the core.
Let's go to the root.
Yeah. Because I can create whatever for them, or I can help them with anything. And they're going to manage to mess it up somehow, because that thing that's bothering them, that's, been going on,
holding them back. Yeah.
That it's going to resurface in everything they do. So we got to get to the root of it. And for everyone that's coming in, each individual woman, it's different. You know, they're holding on to different things, and we got to figure out what it is. And this is where I feel I have a great gift in this. It's like, you give me 30 minutes and I will uncover it.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, just by the things that I'll ask. And, you know, at first it's hearing them, because, you know, that's super important. A lot of times I think when we talk, we don't listen to people.
Right.
And that's where it's very powerful. And you learn so much about people when you just lean in and listen.
Yeah.
Yes. And so in doing that, I give them, you know, their time to talk, and I uncover everything.
You can identify the pain points, and then you can loop it back around and be like, okay, so let me in here.
Yes.
Yeah. Should start a podcast, Liz.
I know, that's next on the list.
Well, it's funny too, because I love how you're like, I don't feel qualified, but I keep feeling nudged. It's like, you have to really lean into that. And when you do, I'm a genuine believer that God will show you a path, and it literally starts to unfold, you know? And sometimes you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I feel called to do this. And it's almost like, to me, I feel like it's like a test. Like, no, keep doing it. Don't do it a couple times and then just decide you're done. I'll show you a path, but doors don't open up unless you're willing to listen.
Absolutely.
So it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever done.
No, exactly. But it's, I think that part of being here in this game is giving back and helping others.
Absolutely.
Like, and if you do that, then the money will come and doors will open. But ultimately, like, we're happy serving and helping others. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and it's crazy. Sometimes, like, we hold on to so much that really we need to let go of.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm in like transition right now with my whole life on that right now. I'm like, I need to let go of this and this and this and this and this. And it's scary, but it's very freeing and liberating. So what you're kind of doing for women is you're like freeing them so that they can have financial success, so that they can have a better marriage, so that they can really ultimately create whatever they want.
Right.
That's
And
awesome.
and in every season of things that I've gone through and pain, whether it was failures or success, those are the areas that I'm able to help them with. Yeah. And it's so incredible the way God brings those exact women that come that I can, you know, totally help with, you know, and it's like, okay, thank you for using the pain that went on in my life that I can help other others.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you feel like were the most significant pain points for you? I mean, obviously divorce and then fitness and just kind of all of it together, and just feeling like you have to be perfect, or how do you feel? Did it just kind of implode one night? Like you said, just crying there and you felt like, why am I in pain?
I think it was where I was explaining to you the wall of protection is that I didn't realize
that you were doing that.
In doing that there was a lot of pain behind it, you know, not even, you know, consciously realizing at all. And it was, once I uncovered that, it was like, this is why relationships aren't working right. This is why even friendships, you know, I was having a difficult time. I used to believe that, you know, women didn't really welcome me. I definitely felt it when I walked in a room, but some of it was them, because remember, we're all holding on to insecurities and pain. So some of it was them, but also what I was carrying.
Your own walls.
Yes.
Yeah.
They didn't receive me.
Open. Yeah.
Yes. And I was always told I was intimidating. And so as soon as that wall that crashed down.
You're just a big stick of butter now.
Yes. No one says that. And it's quite the opposite. They're receiving me. And that's what God does. You know, it's like when he brings in that light into your life, it shines with everyone else, and they want some of what you have.
Yeah. They see you for who you are.
But when you're carrying pain, people can see it.
Yeah. Cause it's like you said, it's just kind of closed off, and you're like, I'm not trying to be intimidating or whatever it is. But
yeah. Cause inside I knew I was a nice person, you know, and that I love and I give and all the things, but they weren't receiving it that way until they got to get to know me. Right. But right now I can walk in, and that is not even.
That's not a thing, because your energy's like been lifted.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like I've only known this version of you. I've never felt, I've never met a closed off Liz, you know, so I've always felt like you were very like warm and inviting and friendly and that kind of thing.
But I think it's a two-way thing, because I think the women that were confident and happy within themselves never felt that from me.
Okay.
So it was kind of, we were both feeling it from each other, you know, at times, I think. And, you know, maybe a lot of it was them. Some of it could have been me. I don't know. But I just know that word intimidating has never been used since I uncovered what I was carrying, you know, and I even instilled a lot of that into my kids, and I had to break that, and I had to apologize to them, because there was a part of me that, you know, if my daughter had emotion, it was like, snap out of it. You don't have time to feel like that. Like, you know, shake it off. And, you know, I needed to let her feel, you know, what she was going through, because there's a lot of healing in feeling your emotions. And I wasn't feeling them because I didn't have time, and I had to stand strong. So, you know, I had to go back and apologize to my kids, because I wasn't going to hand that down.
Yeah,
They weren't going to take those from me.
I love that. I think that's such a good like mom. I think that's just like a golden nugget right there, because we do this to our kids all the time. Think about when, I have my little toddlers and it's like, oh, you scraped your knee, you're fine.
Yes.
And it's funny. The other day I was at the park with Garrett and she fell down and I was like, give me a hug. And he's like, don't coddle her like that. I'm like, she's my baby and I'm going to coddle her. She's sad. I'm going to hug her, you know? So I think that's something that's so important for women to hear, that like, it's okay to have feeling. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay if you fall down to like hug your kid and not just brush it off, you know?
But I always say it's about how long you stay down. Don't stay down
too long. Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Just feel it.
You're human. Yeah. You're in the emotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of times women will stay down and play the victim, and I won't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's move on, but it is.
We touched on that point of pain, and then let's get out of, I love how you just said that. Don't stay in this victim mentality.
Right.
Because a lot of people will live in that space and it doesn't serve you.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. So what have your kids noticed with you in the last like 5 years? Are you like a new Liz?
Yes. I think the biggest thing was, God said, let go and let me. And that was really hard for me, but I would bite my tongue a lot of time because I'm a force for them. I mean, I want so much for them. And so I push and I'll ask and how can I help you? And what can where are you at? And what's going on? And so I just decided it's not my job.
Yeah.
And I just took a step back. And in doing that, like God did all of it.
Yeah.
And their lives have transformed.
They're
all having their own journeys and they're all good.
Yeah.
And they're, happy and thriving. And so it's like, see, we try to control so much.
Yes.
And we mess it up every time.
Yes. That's so funny. I was just reading a book that was talking about this exact same thing. And it's funny because my cute little 17-year-old daughter, you saw her walk in here. She's her own little spirit. And for when she was little, I was always like, you need to do this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And then I finally was like, she's not really mine to control. And I just need to like protect her because I'm her mom. But ultimately, like, she's going to be her own person, you know? And she's very my little creative music girl and does her own thing. And if I hadn't have flipped that script in myself, I would have been like angry at the decisions she was making because they weren't mine. And instead of in letting go, I'm happier and she's happier, So I think that's so important as a mom to just like keep your I always say, keep your kids in the bumper lanes, but allow them to like be themselves. And that comes with you really being yourself and being that example to them.
Yes. That's why it's really important for women to really heal and get themselves together because, who we are, we hand that down to our kids. Yeah. And if, there's areas of ourselves that we know we need to work on, and if you don't like it, your kids are going to be a mirror of that.
Exactly.
So that's where I feel like it's super important for women to start really healing and working within themselves. Because if you're raising kids, like, it's going to trickle onto them. Yeah. So if you're not really enjoying it for yourself, then why give it to your kids?
Right. Exactly. I love that. So Liz, is there a man in your life?
No, that's going to be a hard one because I know exactly who I am and what I want and what I won't settle. I won't settle. Right. So it's going to be interesting. I know in my heart that God has him for me. And when he's ready, I haven't met him yet. Sometimes I feel that he has me called to do so much with women that I'm supposed to be focused on that right now. I'm not sure, but I definitely am open to it and want that at some point in my life.
It's going to come when you're like super busy and have no time for anything. And then you're going to be like, why do I like him so much?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Well, your journey's been incredible to hear more of the story. And I just love talking to inspiring women and truthfully like connecting with you. I know that you're going to help so many women, and you might be starting with one-on-ones, but just like Gray Lynn, I could see it going massive.
Thank you.
So don't ever, forget that. Cause I think we have this knowing of who we've always been, but we got to work there to get there. Right. So I just want to give you kudos for your journey and sharing it with other people on the show today.
Yeah. That's really, what was important for me to be here is to just have more platforms to, be that voice that women can somehow find me and hear it and, really lean in and know that there's more for them. Yeah. So that's, really my hope.
I love it. Well, tell people where can they find more information, and whether it's Gray Lynn or whether it's coaching, where can they go to find out more information?
I would probably say on my Instagram, Liz Webster official.
Perfect.
And Gray Lynn official is also.
I was gonna say, I think I clicked on your link today and it has like all your stuff.
Yes.
So go find Liz on, what's your Instagram handle?
Liz Webster Liz Webster.
Liz Webster. So you guys go check her out on Instagram. Such an amazing mother, entrepreneur spirit here in the house. Every time you listen to the show, I would encourage you to share it, because you never know the impact it's going to have on one of your friends. Maybe they're sitting here listening to Liz and they're like, I need this. So I always encourage anybody who's ever listening to this, follow, subscribe, do all the things, but if anything, share it. If you know it's going to give anybody else value, please share it. Yeah. All right, Liz. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. You guys tune into another show, the Danielle K White Show, that comes out every single week, and we will see you next week.